Welcome back. Let's get right into the stock market charts. We're going to look at some trade ideas. Going to keep it pretty light on this video. Again, it's holiday trading, really thin volume, so we don't need to get too much into detail and take it easy a little bit. Start off with triple Qs here. So really what I see on this hourly chart is this level right here at 400, and it's about 401 basically. I've got it at 480. You can see all the times we hit resistance. I have that all circled. Let me get rid of this circle here. And we popped above it, came in. It's testing it as support, and so far it's holding above there. So that's it. It's bullish in general, and I think pretty close to those all-time highs right there at 408.50 area. I'd probably put 50-50 odds on which way that goes from right here. Whether it wants to pop up and make a new all-time high or just get rejected here. One thing is, just keep this in mind when we look at the weekly chart. Let's flip over to the weekly here. And just pointing it out that we still have that bearish engulfing candle right here. This was back on the week of November 22nd. And we had a following week of more selling pressure. So in general, that is a topping pattern. Bearish engulfing candles are reversal candlesticks. You look for them at the end of extended uptrends. And then typically when you get something like that, a bearish engulfing, you look for follow through on the next candle. So more confirming action. And we do have that. We had a bearish engulfing here, engulfed the previous two candles with more selling the following week. So potential topping pattern. Now for that to remain intact, you really don't want to see a weekly close above that candle right there at 405.90. So if we get a weekly close above it, then it kind of negates that pattern, and we have to just pretty much forget that pattern. Now, one thing that I want to point out that we might see, and to show it, we got to go to the daily chart here. So here's this pattern. This is where it really started. We could pop up on the daily candle, on the daily chart, run up, make a new high, and then by the end of the week, sell off and close back below that level of 405. It's about 405.50 or 405.80. And so if we do that, that would keep that weekly bearish engulfing candle intact as a sell signal. But then it also would run up and make a new high, which would be a divergent high. So you'll see here on the momentum indicators, see how if we were to make a new high on the daily, we're going to make a new high in price, but a lower high in the momentum indicators, which would be negative divergence. I could see that as a pretty viable scenario that keeps that weekly candle intact as a sell signal, but also puts in another new all-time high, which is a divergent high, which would be a high probability of failing. So things to look for there. That's really all I see. Spy is basically the same. We need to see the Qs and what that's going to do. And that's all I got on that. Let's look at some trade ideas. I want to look at BABA here. So BABA is doing exactly what I thought it would do. And I laid out the potential scenario in a couple videos back of what might happen. And what I was looking for is a new lower low in BABA. But it was going to be a higher low in momentum, giving you that bullish divergence. So back when I did the video, we didn't really have bullish divergence because we didn't have a new low in price. We got that yesterday. So you'll see here in BABA, it sold off and made a slightly new lower low than the previous close right there. And then today, and when it did that, we had a higher low right there in momentum. See how we are basically right there, much higher in momentum, but a lower low in price. Bullish divergence followed by a pretty strong rip today, up almost 10% today. Looking at the hourly chart, I've got this downtrend line and it looks like we're starting to break out. Now the thing is, again, being holiday trading, you got to kind of give this a little bit of a question mark because you don't have the volume on this breakout, but it is a breakout. So we'll see how that plays out. But ultimately, I would be looking for a breakout at this point because we now have that bullish divergence and we just need to see kind of confirming price action. But I would be looking for that breakout. And the trade that I like on this one is a long trade on a breakout of this downward trend line right here up to the first level of resistance, which is about 130.15, but I think the real target, kind of the final target, is going to be right up here around 160, 160. Now, that's a big gap to fill. You'd probably, if you're going to go long, want to step in and close out your positions, or at least move your stops up, before actually fully closing that gap. But I think a move right up to close that gap is a good trade. And that, really it's a bear market rally, because BABA, as I roll out, isn't a bear market. This was your bull market here. Nice uptrend line there going back from 2015. We broke trend and it's been down ever since, but we don't just go straight down. So it is due for a bull market or a bear market rally to rally up, fill that gap, probably roll over right about up in that area and head start to make the next leg lower. But I like it long, and I actually took a starter position on it today, although, because of the low volume, I don't want to take a full-size position until I see confirmation next week. Okay, Rio, this one continues. This is really just a follow-up on the trade. The buy signal came really right here on the December 2nd, but pretty much it's just, grinding higher, moving higher towards our first price target or profit target of 71.33. We're about halfway there now, and from the buy signal, it's a trade of about 13% to the upside, and we're already a good, 6%, so about halfway there. And I don't see any reason why this is not going to continue higher, so I still like it long, and it still looks good. Ford, this is a short setup, not an actionable trade yet. I do not have a position in this, but it is definitely a setup for a short trade. What I like about it to short this thing is you've got clean negative divergence right here. Look at that momentum just completely dropping off, and yet it keeps making these slightly new higher highs in price. While doing that, we're walking up this trend line that we put in from March 2020, so a clean uptrend line right there. Broke down once, but it's recovered, and we're just kind of grinding along this trend line. I'm looking for a sell signal. A sell signal would come in the form of a big breakdown candle from this trend line. Impulsive selling with volume is really what I'm looking for. First profit target, it would be 16.51, and the next target, 13.39. And maybe even lower. There's also the potential to get all the way down here to this 11.15, but we'll just take those levels as they come. So again, looking for the sell signal. Negative divergence is there on both momentum indicators. We just need to see that break of this trend line. So there's your setup on that one. Gold, so gold bullion continues to kind of grind higher. It's just kind of a slow grind, especially the last couple weeks. It's been really thin trading, so we're just kind of grinding around, but making higher, moving up day by day, and slow and steady wins the race. We had bullish divergence. The big thing is this trend line right back here, started in 2018, clean up trend line right here, and as I zoom in, held support, held support, held support, and we're just continuing higher. Until that trend line breaks, it's a bullish trend, and we should continue higher. I don't see any reason why we're not going to ultimately just make the next leg higher. I'm seeing some breakouts, like here's Newmont Mining. This is the largest mining stock. And you can see we had this resistance level at about 59.44. We held there. It was resistance, resistance, resistance. And the last couple days, we've started to kind of drift and break out. Again, the breakout's on low volume, though. It is taking place. Okay, so again, low volume breakout. So a little bit of a question mark on this breakout. It is a breakout, so we have to, you want to take it maybe for what it is. But let's see how next week plays out. They might come in and just gap this thing back below resistance and start to sell it off. Okay, so question mark there. But in short, these miners look bullish. They continue to kind of move higher. Soybeans. So soybeans is clearly uptrending. We had a downtrend that was really put in back here on this daily chart. This is starting back in June. Sold off for several months, but then we had a breakout. And this breakout, there's your breakout right there. That's your buy signal on November 15th. Came with bullish divergence. See the momentum moving higher, making lower lows in price. Then we get the breakout. So there's your buy signal. It did a back test here. That was another objective area to add. And then clearly uptrending. Now we're getting a pullback today, so I think we're probably pulling back to the level of support 22.37. That's your next area, objective area at least, to add to the position right there, 22.37, for a move, for a continuation to the all-time highs here at 20, or the near-term highs up here around 24.84. So I still like that, and I'll probably add a little bit to that position on that test of support. Okay, and I'll wrap up with this one, SPCE, possible long trade. There's definitely a setup starting to show up. What I'm looking at here is we've got this key level right here of 1455. You can see that basically that was support through here, kind of came in right there, held support here, got a reaction again right there, and then we broke. It's broke down. So we're below that level, but we do have bullish divergence starting to show up here on the RSI. See that right there? And then it's there on the PPO as well. So we've got a break of trendline support with bullish divergence. This could be just a stop rate. So what I'd be looking for is a recovery of this level about 1450. If we can bounce up and recover that and start to hold, then I think you're going to start, I think you're going to move up. And, there's a gap up here to potentially target right there at about, we'll call it 2347. Yeah, nice clean level right there. Look at all those reactions. You got a reaction here. And then once you broke above, it was support, support, support. It was resistance right there. Support. I like that level. That's a really strong level. So if we recover this level of 1445, I would say that's probably a buy signal. Give it a little room because it's going to be choppy. But I would look for it to start to hold that area and then run up to, run up into this area of 2350. That would be a trade of about 62%. So possibilities there on that one for a long trade. Again, it's just a setup. You need to see that recovery of this area, but you do have bullish divergence. You kind of have everything I look for except for the buy signal. I'm going to wrap it up here. Everyone have a good new year, and I will catch you all in 2022. Take care.